Namaste. What is more important, Mahadasha or the transits? Which is more powerful in making or breaking your life? In this podcast, I have talked briefly on this deep subject, and I am certain that those who have been following me closely will resonate with the sharing of this podcast. So let's begin. One of the most profound sutras of Buddha is love yourself. A man who loves himself respects himself, and a man who loves himself and respects himself respects others too, because he knows just as I am, so are others. Just as I enjoy love, respect, dignity, so do others. He becomes aware that we are not different. As far as the fundamentals are concerned, we are one. We are under the same law. Es Dhammo Sanatano. Only when you are in love with yourself that you can love others. Only when you are filled with happiness that you can make others happy. Only when you are joyous that you can spread joy. Only when you are spiritually blossoming that you can motivate others. It all begins with you. The man who loves himself enjoys the love so much, becomes so blissful that the love starts overflowing. It starts reaching others. It has to reach. If you live love, you have to share it. You cannot go on loving yourself forever, because one thing will become absolutely clear to you. If loving one person, yourself, is so tremendously beautiful, how much more beautiful, how much more joy is waiting for you if you start sharing your love with many people. Slowly the ripples start reaching farther and farther. You love other people when you start loving animals, birds, trees, and rocks. You can fill the whole universe with your love. A single person is enough to fill the whole universe with love, just as a single pebble can fill the whole lake with ripples. A small pebble. Your karma is directly connected to the state of your whole being. Remember this. This is of great significance. Only when you are totally positive, you would be doing some positive karma. For millions and millions of births and rebirths, you have been performing good and bad karmas. There has been no consistency. Along with good, you also have been doing many bad karmas. And this is because there has been no stillness of the mind. The mind has been ruling over you for many, many births. And the mind is a monkey. The mind is restless. The mind is never still. Today it is here. The next moment it is somewhere else. Now it is happy, and the next moment it is sad. Now it is doing something good, and the next moment it does something utterly foolish. And that is how today your horoscope has shaped up. A mixture of good and bad karmas. And the Mahadasha and transit simply follow the course of your past karmic cycle. There are three types of karma. The first is called Sanchit. Sanchit means the total of all your past lives karma. Whatsoever you have done, howsoever you have reacted to situations, whatsoever you have thought and desired, achieved and missed, the total of your doings, thinkings, feelings of all your lives is called Sanchit karma. Sanchit means the accumulated all. Sanchit karma is your Saturn. That is how deep is Saturn. He has the record of all your accumulated karmas of millions and millions of lives. The second type of karma is known as Prarabdha. The second type of karma is that part of Sanchit which you have to fulfill in this life, which has to be worked out in this life. You have lived many lives, you have accumulated much. Now, a part of it will have the opportunity to be acted out, realized, suffered, passed through in this life. Only a part of it, because this life has a limitation 70, 80, or 100 years of life. In 100 years, you cannot live all the past karmas, the sanchit, the accumulated. You can't. You can live only a part of it. That part is called Prarabdha. Prarabdha karma is processed through your Mahadasha. And then there is a third type of karma that is known as Kriyaman karma. That is the day-to-day karma. Kriyaman karma is your ongoing transits. First, the accumulated whole, Sanchit, then a small portion of it for this life, that is Prarabdha karma. Then even a smaller portion of it for today or for this moment, and that is Kriyaman karma. And so it is not the Prarabdha karma, the Mahadasha, that affects the transits, that is the Kriyaman karma. In reality, it is exactly the other way round. It is the transits, the Kriyaman karma, that actually impact the results of Mahadasha, Prarabdha karma. One day, a woman came, and she was well educated, highly experienced, but jobless. From the last 3 years, she was jobless. What happened? Mahadasha was of a beneficial planet, Jupiter, but her Rashi chart was totally screwed up due to the transits of Rahu, Shani, Ketu. But because her Mahadasha, Prarabdha, was good, Jupiter period was running, she had enough food, shelter, and support of her dear ones. But still, at the end of the day, she remained a jobless woman. That is how the transits affect the Mahadasha. The transits are the decision makers. Always remember this, my fellows. This is of great significance. Now, is there a way to modify your course of karmic cycle? And the answer is yes. God is so kind that every moment you are given the rarest of rare opportunity to choose whether to react or respond, whether to say something offending or just ignore, whether to be positive or negative. You see, every moment you are getting the luxury of choice, and your future course of life is shaping based on the choice that you make. If you are disturbed by the other and you react, then the Kriyaman karma falls into the deep reservoir of the Sanchit. then you are accumulating again for future lives. You are accumulating. If you don't react, then the past karma is fulfilled. You must have insulted this man in some past life. Now he has insulted you. The account is closed, finished. A man who is aware will feel happy that at least this part is finished. Now he has become free. There is no balance left. Once it happened. Somebody came and insulted Buddha. Buddha remained quiet. He listened attentively and then he said, "Thank you." The man was very puzzled. He said, "Have you gone mad? I am insulting you, hurting you, and you simply say thank you?" Buddha said, "Yes, because I was waiting for you. I had insulted you in the past and I was waiting. Unless you had come, I would not be totally free. Now you are the last man. My accounts are closed. Thank you for coming. You may have waited, you may not have come in this life, and then I would have had to wait for you. And I don't say anything anymore. I don't want to create another chain." And this is what a man of awareness does. He never reacts because he is perfectly aware that with every reaction he is getting lost in an unending cycle of repetitive karma. A man of awareness is perfectly aware that the way out of this repetitive cycle of karma is through not reacting but rather through deep understanding. Understanding cannot be studied. Nobody can teach it to you. You have to be a light unto yourself. You have to seek and search within your own being. You will have to learn how to dive within yourself, not in the scriptures, but within your own existence. The more you look within, the more is the depth of your understanding. Weak people react quickly because there is simply no depth of understanding. Somebody is late and you react, "Why are you late?" Only a man of awareness will not react. He will simply respond by saying, "Don't worry, I understand. Next time, please be on time." Lovers are mad in love, but when one has to wait a little longer, immediately the reaction is, "Why are you late? How can you be so late?" True love is born out of understanding, says the Buddha. True love is understanding. The ego is not. And the ego exists as long as the mind exists. And the mind can never understand. It only knows how to react, how to quarrel. The more you follow your mind, the more shallow is your understanding. And the more you follow your heart, the deeper is your understanding. The heart has its own reasons which the mind cannot understand. The heart is higher and deeper than the mind, beyond the reach of it. It looks foolish. Love always looks foolish because love is not utilitarian. Mind is purposive, end-oriented. It turns everything into a means, and love cannot be turned into a means. That is the problem. Love in itself is the goal. A deeply meditative man never reacts. Then the Kriyaman karma, the day-to-day karma, does not fall into the reservoir, does not add to it. In fact, the Sanchit is a little less than it was. Your transits will become less and less effective as you become less and less reactive. And you will become less and less reactive when you would become more and more meditative. It is all connected, my fellows. It is all connected. And at the root is just one simple thing: to know yourself, to realize yourself. But who wants to listen? People want fancy answers and fancy ideas, something that would stimulate their mind. So they continue to run everywhere. That is what the mind does to you. The mind is always wandering, but you are not the mind. The nature of the mind is to wander. You are not the mind, says Bhagwan Raman Maharshi. But your ignorance makes you believe that you are the mind, and then you become the mind, and then begins the cycle of your unending miseries. What is the essence of true teaching? The essence of true teaching is that there is no teacher and there is no student. Once it happened, an old man was seated beneath a tree. A young boy was trying to fill a bucket of water from a well, but he was not able to pull up sufficient water. The old man was watching. He could see the efforts, the persistence. He decides to help the young boy. He goes to the well, shows him how to pull up sufficient water from the well. The boy says, "Thank you." The old man smiles and leaves. There is no trace of teaching, no sense of "I am the teacher." Just a natural sharing, just a natural help, and that's it. The old man leaves, leaving no trace of memory. That is how true teaching is. There is no teacher, there is no student, just natural sharing of knowledge, sharing of wisdom. The great spiritual master Papaji says, just as a bird leaves no trail in the sky as it flies, true teaching leaves no trace in memory. The teaching must have no teacher and no student. If the teaching comes from the past or a memory or a concept, it is preaching and not teaching. This teaching never was, it never will be, and it never is. Papaji, a great divine master and the disciple of Bhagwan Raman Maharshi. And what a beautiful quote. When there is no effort of teaching, the ego, "I am teaching," cannot exist. And when there is no effort of learning, the ego, "I am learning something special," cannot exist. And when there is no effort, there is no ego. The ego can exist only with effort. If you make some effort, ego is fed. You are doing something, you are reaching somewhere, you are achieving something. When there is no effort, there is no ego. The effort is required when you are trying. The heart is effortless. The mind needs to put efforts, and the mind exists as long as the ego exists. A cat needs no efforts to catch a mouse. The art of catching a mouse comes naturally. Human beings also do not require efforts to meditate. The art of meditating comes naturally to all human beings. Meditate. This is the only life that you have got. Who knows what the next life is going to be? So, why not use this precious moment to look within, to turn inwards and find the answer to the most precious and greatest question of all questions, the question, who am I? The Bhagavan says, your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render to the world. Astrology is not to trap you into the four walls of why this and why that. Astrology is to help you realize the futility of this material life and encourage you to dive within to know the real truth yourself. Astrology is to bring you closer to the state of higher consciousness. Destroy craving and bondage by identifying as experiencing, not experience, as a seeing, not the seer. You are consciousness, not one who is conscious. The greater the consciousness, the greater is the quality of your karma. And the greater the quality of your karma, the greater is the synchronization of your transits with your Mahadasha. And that precisely is what the real yoga is. But people are just running behind all kinds of fancy yogas, Raja Yoga, this yoga, that yoga, a mad rush. Truth is simple, very simple. Real solutions are also simple, very simple. But since the majority is following the mind, they want something complicated. Then they feel happy. Strange is the human world, and strange are its ways. The world is as you are. It is complicated if you are complicated. It is very simple if you are simple. In other words, you are the world. Mind makes everything complicated. That is how you ask such questions. Else, the questions won't arise. The mind continues to give birth to many questions, but for the heart, everything is simple. It simply takes the world as it is, but a man of heart is not acceptable to the society. He is too simple, almost a simpleton. He may not have many followers. He may not even have many likes. He may not have many friends. And yet, all the beautiful things open themselves to him because he has centered himself in his being. Once you are rooted in your own center, nothing from outside can move you. You can overcome the effects of transits and the Mahadasha only if you are centered within, only if you are turning inwards, only if you are becoming more and more meditative. Astrology is not to create fear within you. Astrology is not to make you a robot who follows the stars and planets. Astrology is not to limit you, but to make you realize the vastness of this human life, the depth and value of this human life. Time is less, life is short. Instead of wasting this precious human life in seeking pleasures and satisfying the unending desires, how beautiful it will be if we all spend some quality time to discover ourselves. And then there will be a song to it, a dance. Then life will be no more the same. Then life will be no more a problem, but an adventure. So come, let us fall in love with our life. Let us fall in love with ourselves. Let us rejoice in the name of the Lord. Let us all become more and more meditative. Start with meditation and things will go on growing in you. Silence, serenity, blissfulness, sensitivity, and whatever comes out of meditation, try to bring it out in life. Share it, because everything shared grows fast. Just as the river flows, your Mahadasha flows, and you have to be aware, conscious as you flow through, because at every stage of your Mahadasha, it is the depth of your awareness, your consciousness that would enable you to realize the many wonderful insights of this life. The key to your growth is in the depth of your awareness, your consciousness. Although you appear in earthly form, your essence is pure consciousness. You are the fearless guardian of divine light. So come, return to the root of your own soul. Whatever watches the mind is not the mind. It is greater than the mind. It is awareness, and this is your true self. You can start with awareness, then awareness takes you away from the mind and the identification with the mind. Naturally, the body starts relaxing. You are no longer attached. Tensions cannot exist in the light of awareness. Tensions cannot exist in the light of awareness, because when you come with an inner light, you move fully alert. Each step is taken in awareness. The walking, the coming, the sitting, everything is done in full awareness. Then, can tension ever exist in life? Your tension of transits or Mahadasha or anything under the sky is because of your ignorance. Come to the light of consciousness. Move towards the sky. Become more and more aware. Meditate every day. Chant the holy mantra. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Jai Sri Ganesha. Jai Guru.
Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.